What's up, everyone, and welcome to another marker review. Today, we are going to be checking out Arrtx's 120 color set. They were nice enough to send this to me to check out and test. I'm going to open it up and get right in. All right, so the first thing I want to point out is that on the back side here, we have all of the colors labeled. Super nice when everything is nice and cohesive like that. We can just reference our color so easily by the number on the back of the marker. So let's open this up and check it out. All right. So inside the packaging, we've got more stickers just in case, but you could see they are all labeled. This is very similar to a set. They sent me their 90 color set in the past, but more colors means more options, more variety, and I am so stoked. So today I want to test these out and let's just see what the tips look like. Let's see what we're in for all around. I've got some scrap paper right here. So let's grab a random color. Let's take this hot pink and see. You see there's the nice brush tip there. Numbers on the back, nice and clear. Effortless. You can get nice thin lines, thicker lines, any kind of, you could just hold the marker, get a nice chunky line, angle it a little more, get a nice thin line. So yeah, super pumped to try these out and come up with something. Not quite sure exactly what I want to do yet, but something probably along the lines of my animal series, my super animals that I've been doing lately, which is basically just picking a pretty much favorite animal that I think should associate with the character. It doesn't always have to, but my goal is to take a couple commissions. Maybe you guys want some commissions on your favorite animal with a favorite superhero or supervillain. But anyways, now that we have this nice and let's spend like 2 seconds. Already dry to the touch, nothing on the fingertip. Very cool to see how effective these work. This is on just like a multi-purpose paper. Actually, I think this is just Bristol board. So super cool that did not bleed through. Dry already. This is real time. Let's go over it with, let's just try. Sometimes I like to see how colors cover. That's awesome. That's not bad. We could see a little bit of transparency, but that's actually, I kind of like when you can like go in and just kind of blend off a color. So very cool. For the most part, this I'll do it right on top like that. Not bad for coverage. We're covering a lighter color over a darker color. So that's awesome. I love the way that blended together. Very excited to see what I can do with these. And I think before we've done all the experimenting I need to do, I want to just get right into the canvas. So let's grab a canvas and draw something out. So I switched over to my angled drawing board to sketch this out, and that's something that I've noticed lately has been helpful for me. I've drawn mostly on flat desk surfaces, and when I finally got this drawing board that has an angle to it, I found that I've been able to just kind of see the overall image better, and it's just, I don't know, it's a little thing that's helpful. You got to kind of think, if you're looking at a flat piece of paper, the top of the paper is further away from you, but if you angle the top closer to you, you're able to see the page more straight on. As far as supplies, I'm just sketching this out with a red color pencil, and this is on a 16 by 20 inch canvas. And for a character, I decided I was going to paint one of my favorites, Gambit from X-Men, as a bunny though. And as soon as the sketch was roughed out, I went in with the markers to just kind of outline everything and kind of fine-tune my sketch a little more. These markers worked out great on canvas. They just glide right across the surface. Now, one thing I will say is I wish I experimented a little bit more with the markers. I wish I picked a lighter tone, because there are some transparencies, but you can use them to your advantage. You'll see later on in this when I'm going over some of these lines, some of the tones still have some of the darker portions from the outline that I'm doing now showing through, but it actually kind of can work in your favor if you're prepared to use them correctly. I was just kind of experimenting. That was the whole point of this video, is to just kind of use these and see what I think. I will say though, I had a lot of fun sketching with these markers. These just, like I said, they glide across the surface. You could see that I'm just having fun mapping out this character, putting a couple like shading lines in there just to kind of let myself know where some of the shading and tones are going to go. Now, I knew I wanted to play with a glow effect. I know usually when he throws his cards, there's kind of like a pink glow, so I decided I was going to paint a black background. Once the black background was complete, it was finally time to really test these markers. Now, typically, I like to just base my midtone in the section I know it's going to be, and then create some contrast by adding some highlights and some darks. And you could see that this midtone that I based on the character's jacket went on super smooth. You can see that some of the dark tones are showing through, and we're going to talk about that later, but first I want to go over my Q-tip technique. So I added a lighter tone on the side of the jacket, and then I'm able to just blend it using a Q-tip. Very basic technique, but I'm going to be using this throughout the entire painting. Okay, so now we could talk about what I wish I knew earlier. Earlier, I had mentioned that I wished I used a lighter tone to map out the rabbit and all of the shading. You could see in the top right part of the jacket that there's still some of those streaks showing through from the shading that I mapped in. Now, you could use this to your advantage and learn from my mistakes because it actually creates a really nice natural looking shadow. So had I known this and messed with the markers a little bit more before just experimenting on the canvas, I could have saved myself some time and just mapped in a darker tone. And then when I blend tones over it, they would A, blend better, and B, it would look like a natural shadow and work really well. So needless to say, there's some really cool things that you could do with these markers based off my mistakes. But with that being said, even though I made the mistake and learned, you're still able to cover up the initial blue marker that was put down. It just takes more layers, but like I said, if you know this ahead of time, you could use it to your advantage and create some really nice shadows. Later on in the painting, you'll see me use this to my advantage when I create the glow that's coming off of the staff that's in his right hand and the cards that are at the bottom. I also want to point out that there was such a good variety of tones with these markers, so I was able to get the exact colors that I wanted to use for this jacket. And once the jacket was done, I just couldn't wait to get into the blues that they had. Typically in the comics, he has black pants, but because of the black background, I was going to use blue to kind of create an illusion that there was like, I don't know, some reflective lighting, just gives it some shine, just kind of make it look a little more colorful and better than if it was just like black and gray. I just wanted it to be nice and vibrant. There are some areas that you'll see later on where the blues are more vibrant, and he actually does have like the blue boots and like a blue belt. So there are some areas you'll see later on where I'm able to use more varieties of blue. But overall, I am very happy with the selection of colors that this company has. Moving along to the hair now, I wanted to make sure that I used some of the browns that were in the coat itself, but I also wanted to make sure I went a little darker so that there would be some separation between the coat and the hair. So again, great way to show the variety of all the colors that they have. And now we get to see the variety of pinks that the company has. I tried to go with some of the more muted tones of pink because I really wanted to save the bright fluorescent like hot pinks for the background for the glowing staff and the glowing cards that would be in the foreground. And now it's time to see how I do the glow and how I utilize that dark background and just kind of blending some of the muted tone of pink over the black background. I know right now it has that like dry look, but later on I'm going to varnish this and it's going to be a lot richer looking. It's going to look way more vibrant. To do this, you could see that I started by basing some of those darker tones of pink first, and I'm just working up to an almost white pink that's around the staff to just kind of make the illusion that it's glowing. Now for the bunny himself, I really didn't know what tone I was going to use. I settled on kind of like a warm gray eventually. I went in with some cool grays at first, and I just thought the warm grays fit better. They had a great selection of tones to choose from, so I decided instead of going with like some crazy colorful bunny, I don't know, I guess like lime green could have been kind of neat, but I wanted the pink to capture your attention. So having something that's a little more neutral, I thought would make everything else pop more. I also think that if I had gone with lime green, it would have read a little more like some kind of lizard or reptile or something. It was funny to me though that as I'm creating this piece and seeing the white bunny come to life and all this kind of glowy stuff, it kind of read to me like a magician. And it's funny that, you know, Gambit has the card, so it's almost like he's always doing magic tricks anyways. And speaking of tricks, it's kind of like the bunny from Trix cereal. So everything just coincidentally seemed to flow together. I just randomly picked a rabbit. You know, magicians use rabbits in their tricks all the time. Trix cereal, yada yada. You get it.
Full circle. I just love it when a plan comes together.
Anyways, now we're getting into the adorable little bunny boots. I thought that these fit super well. It just, I don't know, it added some character to it. And now cruising along, getting into the second set of glowiness. That's not even a word, whatever. You get what I'm saying. We're making those cards glow now. And while certain sections are drying, I'm just kind of going all over, just working wherever I feel I need to, doing some touch-ups here and there, kind of just basing some tones wherever I feel I need. As I showed earlier, these markers do dry extremely fast, but I just like using a hairdryer just to make sure that everything is dry. The last thing I want to do is just kind of smear a color across, but you can rely on these to dry within, seconds. It doesn't even take a full minute. I just get impatient and want to cruise along as fast as I can. I remember this being the stage of the painting where I usually get a little restless and just kind of want to not rush things, but kind of rush things. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get so close to the end, you could see the end in sight. There's still some tedious stuff to do. And at this point, I just want to detail those cards and put those pupils and iris in the eyes. But this is pretty typical, around like that 75% of the way done point. I just want to get to the fun parts, like putting shines in the eyes or just the last tiny little details, you know? Let me know, does this happen to you guys? Do you just like try to get the tedious stuff done first? Do you enjoy tedious stuff? Like, do you have that low when you're like 75% done, you could see the end in sight, but you're not quite there yet? I like to think everybody kind of goes through that. And that's kind of why I save some of the fun stuff till the end, because it keeps me invested in it. And then at the end, I kind of get to like reward myself. And since we're so close to the end and all those final details, I want to go ahead and thank all of my paid Patreon members. You guys are the best. I appreciate you so much. And if you guys watching want to help support as well, I will leave a link in the description of this video so that you could join and stay in the loop and be ahead of everything and join Patreon as well. Another way to help support, of course, is to go to my website. That's kbuart.com. I've got plenty of merch here. I've got my new coloring book. I've got a pin. I've got some stickers. I've got prints. I've got original artwork, including some of those super animals that I showed you guys in the beginning. There's plenty more than what's shown here, so be sure to check it out for yourself. Now let's get back and finish that painting. Just a couple little white shines and details in the eye, dry it out, and then I can varnish it. I decided to go with a little bit of a gloss look. I just thought that the glow would kind of be a little better with it. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Arrtx for sending these markers. And if you'd like to try them for yourself, I will leave a link in the description of this video. Without further ado, let's take a look at the final outcome.